Today I've got my worst films of 2017 list, and this is my top 10 list of movies that I had seen, and quite frankly this year had a lot of bad movies. Now, as you guys know, I do my bad love reviews. I've even seen movies that I haven't had make it on the list that were my bad love reviews, but they were still pretty bad nonetheless. So without any further ado, here is my worst films of 2017 list, starting with my honorable mention. One of them be the latest Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. Now, I was not a huge fan of this movie. I wasn't a huge fan of even the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I personally loved the first trilogy, or at least the first two Pirates films, and I was looking forward to seeing this movie. It was on my anticipated movies list of last year. I was very disappointed in this movie, but what can you expect from seeing another Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow film? You've thought you've seen it all, and this was pretty much this movie. My number 10 worst film of the year goes to Rings. Now, this is a part of that Rings movie. It was a horror film with Samara from The Ring, and this is the third installment that I'm kind of thinking, why'd they make it in the first place? It really just felt just as cheesy as The Ring 2, and I was really not impressed with it, and I thought, because I was a fan of this series, that it would at least be decent, but it really was just plain dumb. Now, my number 9 of the list is Geostorm, and I knew right off the bat that I wasn't going to like this film. I didn't care if Gerard Butler starred in it because it looked like a cheesier version of The Day After Tomorrow in 2012, and it's yet another disaster film that, quite frankly, was a disaster, and it just wasn't a good film coming out this year. My number 8 worst film of the year, a lot of people will probably agree with me that it has to be on this list, and that has to go to Rough Night, which is that Scarlett Johansson starring film about a bachelorette party going horribly wrong. I thought I would like this movie because I'm into the whole like Bridesmaids type of comedy, but this clearly veered way off of that, and I was really disappointed in it in the end, and I thought I was going to enjoy it, and even though some parts were funny, some parts really were not, and that was probably one of the main issues I had with this film. My number 7 worst film of the year has to be The Mummy, because, you know, it doesn't matter if Tom Cruise starred in this movie. I really did not like the idea of this film from the first trailer that I did a reaction to, and then by the time I saw the movie, I was just really irritated by everything that was going on in this movie. Now, I did end up seeing it a second time just to try to give it another chance because maybe I wasn't being fair, but I really stand by what I said the first time, and I just did not get into this movie. And I was a huge fan of the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, but now this one was supposed to set up the Dark Universe, and I don't even know the status of that from Universal, but it's all up in the air, and quite frankly, so is this movie. My number 6 worst film of 2017 goes to Snatch. Now, this is a movie that was a mother-daughter comedy starring Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn, and I was not impressed with this movie. I'm not a huge fan of Amy Schumer movies and her comedy in general, so I knew that I wasn't going to get into this movie, and I really just did not like it. It felt really lame and just dumbed down, and it's your typical comedy that, you know, some might like it, some might hate it, and I really just hated it. My number 5 worst film of 2017 is Unforgettable, and I really wish I could just forget that this movie existed. I actually had to go back and find this movie because I realized that it came out this year, and it really was a forgettable film. And you know, I'm not a huge fan of Katherine Heigl. She was just terrible in this movie. I felt bad for Rosario Dawson's character, and I just really felt bad for anybody making this movie because it really was just so cheesy. It felt like a Lifetime movie at times, and I think it should have just been that in the end. My number 4 worst film of 2017 goes to Transformers: The Last Knight. I fortunately got to go to the world premiere of the film, and you know, I was really excited because I'd never done that before, but then eventually when I went to see the movie, I was just really not impressed with it. I gave it a chance just because this has been a huge money-making franchise, but that's pretty much it. It really didn't add much to the story. It was just the whole popcorn action that you would normally see from a Transformers film, and ever since the first trilogy had Shia LaBeouf in it, I just felt like it had gone downhill from there, and it really just, it wasn't that great of a movie in the end. My number 3 worst film of 2017 goes to the Emoji Movie. I think there should be plenty of poop emojis to go along with this, just because it literally was that. And I don't know why they decided to make a movie. I mean, what's next? They're gonna make a movie about even more board games or more phone apps. I mean, who knows? Hollywood has clearly run out of ideas, and they thought this one was a good idea, but it really just wasn't. And I don't care if it's for the kids. Kids shouldn't even be playing with cell phones until they're at least in high school. But I guess now that emojis are a thing, even for adults, that it really annoyed me to see everything in the concept that was going on with this film. My number 2 worst film of 2017 is for A Bad Mom's Christmas. Now, I had just reviewed that last month, and I didn't even like the first Bad Moms movie, and I don't even know why they bothered making a sequel, let alone utilizing actors that really should not have been in this film, because they are much better than that. But I guess they just needed that paycheck, and that's literally what it felt like going into this movie and seeing everything that was going on. The jokes just fell flat. It wasn't funny whatsoever, and it really just did not impress me, and it really was just a lame film. Now, my number 1 worst film of 2017 is one that I literally hated and just got really seriously pissed about when I had seen it. And I thought I'd give it a chance. I thought maybe people were crazy. Some of you might know which one I'm talking about, and it is for Mother. This Darren Aronofsky film, which even he said he wanted people to hate. And I'm just thinking, why would you want that? Unless he meant it in a good way, like you're gonna love it so much you're gonna hate it, or you're gonna love to hate these characters, and that's exactly what happened. But I just did not like this movie whatsoever. It was a horrendous film that I just did not expect to see coming from a director of his caliber, and I just was very disappointed in this film and the concepts going into this movie. The story just, it made me want to scream, and I literally felt like that watching this film. So that was my worst films of 2017 list, and you guys can let me know what you put on your list for this year, and be on the lookout for my best films of 2017 list. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Child Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys later.